Hello dear students, today we are going to discuss chapter number 11, that is types of resources. Here the word resource, what is the meaning of resource? It is very simple. Anything that can be usable by us is called resources. Anything we can use for one or another task, it is called resources. So in this chapter we'll discuss regarding different types of resources and how they are usable and different other aspects of types of resources also. Let us have a glance of the chapter. Basically there are three different types of resources: natural resources, human made resources and human resources. So in this chapter we are going to discuss all the aspects of these three types of resources. So let us have the introduction of the chapter. In the process of evolution and development, humans have discovered a great variety of resources in nature and created many others with the help of different technologies. So students, as you know that by the ages, human has learnt even to develop and even to evolve. So development, you are seeing that before years we were not using technology, we were not having whatever we are using right now. So that is called development also. And evolution, that also humans have been using their intelligence to develop, right? So we can compare any time with any previous or any current time, that you can come to know that what is evolution and what is development, right? So in this process of evolution and development, humans have searched or come to know that many kinds of resources are there, many types of resources are there in nature, and even humans have also created many other resources with the help of this kind of different technologies we are having right now. So in this chapter we will study the major types of resources, how useful and valuable they are in making human lives comfortable, and why it is important to conserve these resources. So guys, in this chapter we are going to discuss regarding how many types of resources are there, that we just in the introduction we discussed. Then we will discuss that how useful and how important the resources are there in making our lives comfortable, human lives comfortable. And we'll also see that why it is important to conserve. To conserve, it means to save it or to take care while using it. So all the aspects we are going to discuss in this chapter. So let us start with the definition of resources. Any object that is useful in making the life of human beings comfortable is a resource. Very simple definition is there. Any object or anything that is useful in making the life of human beings comfortable, anything you find that is helpful to you and that makes your life comfortable is called resources. Let us take an example. For example, if you are hungry, then food is your resource. If you want to watch some program, then TV is your resource. If you want to play, then toys and games are your resource. If you want to study, then study materials are your resource, right? Same way, anything that can be useful for humans, or that can make human life comfortable is called resources. So anything that can be usable to you is called resource. Let us see next. Whatever we eat, we use, or even see around us is a resource. Right? Whatever we use, whatever we consume, or whatever we see around us, see, walls, trees, roads, machineries, chairs, mobiles, pen, board, vehicles, games, video games, furniture, bags, lunch boxes, water bags, and what not. Whatever we are using is called resource, or it has been created from some type of resource. Like for example, if we see tree in our society or some parking area or whatever, so tree is natural resource, so that is called resource. And if we see furniture, so furniture is not a natural resource, but furniture is a resource. Obviously it is useful for us, so as per the definition it is resource, but it is made from tree, which is actually resource for us, right? So whatever we eat, use, or see even around us is a resource, or it has been created from some type of resource. So now let us see, we'll see the characteristics of resource. A resource should, first is satisfy a need. So as we discuss, if we are hungry, so what satisfy our need is a resource. So food satisfy our need, it is called resource, right? If you want to write, then what will satisfy your writing purpose? Pen and paper, sometimes writing pad, book, these are, or if you want to type, then computer. So resource first characteristic is it should satisfy a need. If you have something and if it is not usable for you, then it is not a resource, be it a very useful or very valuable thing. But if it is not usable, then at that time that thing is not a resource for you. For example, if you are thirsty and you have a diamond of 1 crore rupee, but it is not a resource for you because you are thirsty and you need what? Water. So diamond cannot satisfy a need of water, then it is not resource at that time. But if you want to go in some function and you have earrings golden or silver, then they are resources for you, because you need to look very beautiful or handsome at that time. That ornaments are resource for you. Okay, understood? Okay, next. Second is it should be developed and used. Resource is second category is it should be developed and used. So if anything, for example, we have discussed that furniture. As a furniture, take an example of chair. So tree is a resource. From tree you can make different things according to your need. If you want to make furniture for your home, tree will give you wood. Wood can be developed. Tree will give you wood, and wood can be developed to make furniture. So that is called resource. If you cannot convert a tree into usable thing, then again the question arises how it can be called a resource, right? So resource characteristics would be it should be developed and used, right? So all the resources are not directly used. Some resources are developed also and then used. The third characteristics is it should be accessible to humans. Now, if the resources are there and is not accessible by us, then how it can be called resource? because obviously it will be useful for us, but if we are not able to access it, if we are not able to get it, then it cannot be called resource. So accessible is a must thing for humans, right? For example, there is ample amount of drinkable water resource in Antarctica, right? But yes, obviously water is a resource for us because water is an essential thing for humankind. But if we are not able to get that water, it means the water in the glaciers of Antarctica is not accessible by humans. How can we fetch that water? The water we are using is coming from them via pipeline to our home. We are fetching that water from the pipeline, so it is easily accessible, then it is called resource. But even useful things which are not accessible for us, it is not resource for us. Clear? Next, it should have some value, that is economical or social. Obviously, if you want pen, so how will you get pen? You will go to market, you will go to stationery shop, and then you will get pen. But how? You will exchange money for that, you will have to pay for that. So resource is having economic value, right? So obviously some social resources are also there which do not have economic value. For example, if you need neem trees for something to make at home, neem leaves, right? So what you will do is, in Indian society, many places neem trees are there, or you would go to your neighbor also, or you might have also neem tree at your compound. So that is not having economical value, but that does have social value also. So this is the characteristics of resources. It should have social value also. Next is, it should be cheap, that is developing the resource should not cost too much. So let us take an example. Again, if you want to write something and you need pen, paper for that, so on an average pen cost around 5 to 10 rupees, a book cost around 20 to 50 rupees. So by buying these things, or maybe writing pad cost around 50 to 150 rupees, so on an average 200 to 250 rupees you can satisfy your need of writing something. Now say for example, if pen cost you 5 lakhs, book cost you 15 lakhs, and writing pad cost you 1.5 crores, then is it practical to satisfy the need at this much cost? No. That suggests that resources have one more characteristics, that is it should be cheap, right? So anything you want, developing that resource must not be that much costly that even no one can afford. So that should not happen. Resources should be cheap also, and developing cost should be, on an average it should be low. For that reason it could be afforded by all. And the last characteristics, it should suit the requirements of new technology and the level of development, right? So last characteristic suggests that whatever resources we are going to use, if it does not suit the requirement of new technology and the level of development, then it cannot be usable, right? For example, if we want to use mobile, right, so mobile should be of current technology. If you want to see any cinema, movie or TV, we should have the gadget that is satisfying current technology. So resource should suit the requirements of new technology and level of developments also. So these were the characteristics of resources. So now let us see the classification of resources. As we discussed earlier, the classification of resources, there are mainly basically three classification of resources. In general, resources are categorized into three broad types: natural, human made and human resources, right? So we have natural resources classified further. So first we'll see natural resources. Naturally occurring materials that support life, such as water, air and sunlight, or resources that satisfy a human want, that is needs, such as food, raw materials and mineral fuels, are natural resources. So this is the basic definition of natural resources. Natural word that comes from nature, that you all know, right? So natural resources, it means resources that are fetched from nature. So that is simply explained, right? Resources which are fetched from nature. So over here, materials that are occurring naturally. Materials that are occurring naturally, it means it is fetched from nature, that support life. It means that is essential for life of animals, humans and all, such as water, very essential for human; air, it is also essential; sunlight, also essential; or resources that satisfy a human want, that is human needs. Whatever our needs are there, it is satisfied by natural resources, such as food need. Without food we cannot survive. Raw materials for our daily basis and our factory prepared products, we need raw materials. Raw materials can be of any type, raw materials. And mineral fuels, as you all know that what are minerals, right? Minerals can be fetched from under the land, right? From under the water also. These are called natural resources. So in simple, if you want to remember that resources which are fetched from nature is called natural resources. So here we have the chart describing the resources classification: natural, human made, that is political, economic, socio-cultural and etc., and human. So we are discussing natural resources. The first classification of natural resources is origin, that is by base, by root. Next is stage of development, that on the base of which, at which stage it is developed. And third is renewability, right? So renewability, it means availability of the same resources further in the future, that we'll discuss, right? In the origin, abiotic and biotic stage of development, will find potential and actual resources. And renewability, on the base of renewability, there are two definitions: renewable resources and non-renewable resources. So let us see first the classification of natural resources. Natural resources can be classified on the basis of their origin, stage of development and renewability. So first we'll discuss origin, right? First is origin. Based on their origin or where they are derived from, resources can be divided into biotic or abiotic, right? So this is the definition of origin of resources. It means that what is the base of that origin. If someone asks us question that what is your origin, or originally you are from So we can answer that originally we are from India. In India, someone asks us, then we can reply state. In the state someone asks us, then we can reply our region. We are originally from Saurashtra and etc. Right? These were the example. So on the base of origin there are two sub-classification, that is biotic and abiotic. Now what is biotic resource? It contains the word bio. Bio, it means life, right? So biotic resource means natural vegetation and forest, wildlife, aquatic ecosystems of both fresh water and salt water. So all these includes biotic resources. Biotic resource means resources which has life. Resource which has life. Natural vegetation. Now the question comes, how natural vegetation has life? If something has not life, it cannot grow or shrink or vanish itself. So natural vegetation is biotic, and forest, as you know, that the treasure of all the natural vegetation. Wildlife, that is animals. Aquatic ecosystem, right, that is life underwater. Both fresh water, that is lake, pond, rivers and other water sources, and salt water, that is ocean, sea. Clear? So this is the definition of biotic resources. Now we'll see abiotic resources. Abiotic resource is the opposite of biotic resource. Whereas in the biotic resource life matters, in the abiotic resources life doesn't matter. Include land utilized for settlement, soil for cultivation, water for survival and minerals. So these are the examples of abiotic resources. Land, clear? Land utilized for settlement, it means for the residential purpose, for the shop, factory establishment purpose, whatever land we are using, that is called land utilized for settlement. Then soil. Soil for cultivation. Soil is the upper layer of land, most upper layer of land. On the layer of soil, the man can have farming process, cultivation process, cropping and all these things. Water. Water for survival. Survival for all the animals, humans, and minerals that we can fetch from under the land. These are called abiotic resources. So this was the first classification of natural resources, that was origin, and according to origin, which two sub-classification of origin are there? Biotic and abiotic. Clear? Okay. Next is stage of development. Stage of development, it means on which stage, at what stage they are developed. Right? Let us discuss. Resources can be classified as potential or actual depending on whether they are being developed currently or are available for future development. So over here, stage of development's definition is the resources which we are using, they can have one more sub classification under the stage of development, that is potential or actual. So one defines that whether they are being used right now, right, or developed right now, or they can be used in future. So let us discuss in the detail. First is potential resource. Potential resource are known to exist and have been located but are not being utilized or developed at present. So some resources which exist, they are there in the earth and they have been even located. It means they are found that on these places these resources are available. but they are not being utilized or developed at present. It means that rather we are not able to use it, or we are not having the particular technology to use the resources, which are called potential resources. The word potential, it means powerful also, right? Potent, it means power. So we can have example, they may be developed and utilized in the future, as we are not able, or we may not have the proper technology to use it. So that is called potential resources. So example, tidal energy, solar and geothermal energy, these resources are the example in most part of the world are potential resources waiting to be tapped. Now what is tidal resources? However, it is one another big point, but still we can have a discuss very short. Tidal energy can be fetched from ocean. The tides that are coming, if we are able to utilize that tides, and if we are able to set some machineries and technology to use those tides, then we can produce energy from that. Solar energy, right? Sun is the ultimate source of energy and unlimited source of energy. We can tap solar energy and we can use it. Geothermal energy, we can have the definition of geothermal energy at the last. This power obtained by using heat from the earth's interior, right? From the earth's interior, from downside of the earth, whatever energy is coming or trying to come out, if we use that energy, that is called geothermal energy, right? The geothermal energy resources are there. So in the most parts of the world, these types of resources are there. They have been located also, and up to some extent we may be able to even use these kind of resources. But why they are identified as potential resources? Because these types of resources are not fully utilized. That is why it is called potential resources. Next is actual resources. These resources have been properly surveyed and assessed and are being currently used by humans. So actual resources, the simple word used, actual, it means that these resources which we are using have been properly surveyed. It means we already know that how much of amount they are, that resources are having, right? So we already have surveyed and assessed also, that we have tested also that this resource can be used this way, and they are currently being used by humans since near past or since long ago. These resources are called actual resources. Obviously we are having examples of this: iron ore and coal that are being extracted from the Chota Nagpur plateau in India and used in iron and steel plants. So many examples like these are there, like iron ore and coal also there. So they are being extracted from Chota Nagpur plateau, that is the example of India, and this iron ore is used in many steel plants, right? You can see the images of both the example. Potential resources, that is tidal energy, as we discussed earlier. Under the sea, the tides are, then some machinery or technology has been set to use the tide, and from that energy is obtained. Next is an actual resource. Actual resource, that is iron is being fetched from under the earth, so it is actual resource, right? So you should keep in mind, right, that which are potential resources and which are actual resources. Clear? So here Some dependency is also there. The actual use of resources depends on their accessibility, cost of development and utilization, the availability of technology, and the market conditions. So these four are the main aspects of how the actual use of resources can be used or can depend on. First of all, accessibility. Accessibility, it means how we can access it, how we can fetch it. So that is the first aspect. Second is cost of development and utilization. So utilizing or using it and developing it, what cost is we can incur, that is also an important aspect of the actual use of resources. The third is available of technology. It means that to have such resources, which kind of technology we are having, right? If we do not have enough or proper technology, right, then it cannot be called actual resource. Then it will go in the category of potential resource, because as we discussed earlier, in the potential resource we discussed that we may not have proper technology to utilize it at present. So there is possibility that whatever the resources are coming in the category of potential resources in the current time, it may be included in the actual in future, right? And the last is the market conditions, right? Whatever resources we need or we use can be easily available to the market also. Clear? So these are the aspects of actual resources. The next classification is renewability of the resource. Renewability. Now, renewability means the availability of resources in the future. That is called renewability, right? Okay, let us see. Some resources are renewable by nature or human assisted process. Others are non-renewable. Very simple. If we are able to renew the resource, then that resource can come under the category of renewable resource, right? So some resources can be renewed by nature itself, some can be renewed by human assisted process also, that is process done by humans also, right? And those who are not available for this, that is called non-renewable resource. So renewable resources, examples are solar power. Let us take an example of solar power. Sun is the ultimate source of energy and unlimitedly giving us energy, lots of energy daily, every day. And we are not even able to utilize even 1% of whatever energy sun is giving to us. It is called renewable. Wind and tidal energy. Wind is ultimately and unlimitedly available to us. Tides, that is, tides are there in the oceans, that are also renewable, right? We do not have to wait for the tides to come, right? It is a continuous process. Crops, okay, crops grow. Some crops grow naturally, some crops grow with the help of humans. So there is this we can call human assisted process also. Forests, natural forests are there mostly, so they are also renewable. However, forests have been cut by humans for the different purpose, different uses, but they can still be renewable. Fisheries, that means fish stock available in the ocean and land and river and pond. Wildlife, much stock of wildlife is useful for the human. Then air is also renewable, and water, that is also renewable. These are examples of renewable resources. They can be renewed or replenished in a shorter period of time, right? Renewed, that you know, replenish is the similar word of renew, in a shorter period of time. Look, This is the difference between the definition of renewable and non-renewable. It does not mean that non-renewable resources cannot be renewed. Yes, they are renewed, but they take more time, much time. And renewable resources, they can take very little time, very shorter period of time, they are renewed. That is why those resources are called renewable resources. They are also more easily available and more widely distributed than non-renewable resources. So more easily available, renewable resources, they are available very easily, right? And they are widely distributed. For example, air available any point, any place in the earth. Water, mostly water is available. Sun, mostly all the places sun is available, right? So they are widely distributed than non-renewable resources. So which are the resources which are non-renewable, comparatively not easily available to all the places. Then most renewable resources regenerate themselves either through a cyclic flow process that is often continuous, like the water cycle, or a reproductive process common to all living things. So mostly renewable resources regenerate itself. Regenerate, it means to create itself again and again and again. There are two aspects of generating themselves again. First is water cycle. Water cycle, it means you know very well what is water cycle. This comes in science also. Water cycle, it means water is available in different types of sources: river, ocean, pond, lake, and even in tanks also. Now water converted into vapor and it goes up to make clouds, and for the in particular time clouds will rain, again water will come down to us. So that is called water cycle. Second is reproductive process. Reproductive process, it means that it is generated by the human assisted process. For example, crops, farming, manufacturing. So these are the reproductive process. It means farming, with the use of farming, crop is done, now harvesting is done, again growing process is done, again it will grow, crops are ready, harvested, again it will grow. When it will be grown, process of harvesting is done. So this is called reproductive process. Here we are having pick of solar power, wind energy and crops. These are some example of renewable resources. And the next is non-renewable resources. So non-renewable resources which cannot be renewed easily. But let us have the definition. These are either not replenishable or may take millions of years to be renewed. So we should keep this in mind. Renewable resources, it gets renewed very easily, while non-renewable resources, it is not like that, it does not get renewed, but it takes long time. Sometimes it takes millions of years to be replenished or renewed. That is why they are coming under the category of non-renewable resources. Mineral ores and fossil fuels are examples of non-renewable resources. Mineral ores. Mineral ores means the anticipated form of mineral, not ready-made form of mineral. Mineral ore, right? Minerals are made from mineral ores. These mineral ores and fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, it means fuel made from fossils of trees and wild animals and animals. So fossil fuels and minerals, these are the example of, these are available right now for us, but they are coming under non-renewable resources because they are really non-renewable? No, they take so much of time to be renewed or to replenish here. So just think or just guess that one day if mineral ores or fossil fuels will be over, then that generation will not be able to see mineral ores or fossil fuels again. Why? Because generation of these mineral ores and fossil fuels takes so much of time, millions of time. So for one generation to sustain for the millions of years is not possible. That is why they are coming under non-renewable resources. Let us have an example. It takes a few years to use up an entire coal seam, but to produce one such seam may require a whole period of geologic time or millions of years. Right? So example is very good and it is very simple to understand that to use an entire coal seam it means that particular quantity, right, production of coal that has been fetched from beneath or under the earth. So to use the entire coal seam, it is very easy. It will take only little time, right? Years ago, there were coal engine in the trains also, right? Steam engine. So coal was used to boost the train speed, right? So to utilize the coal seam, it is very easy. But to produce one such coal seam may require whole period of geological time or millions of years. Take an example, if you want to produce only this size of coal or millions of tons of coal, it will take same time only, right? Because buried beneath the earth for millions of years, buried and pressurized, then it will become coal after millions of years. So that is non-renewable. Non-renewable resources are also unevenly distributed and can be exploited only if they exist in sufficiently large deposit. Non-renewable resources, they are also unevenly distributed. However, any resources are not evenly distributed over the earth. God has gifted natural sources, renewable sources, non-renewable sources. God has gifted us unevenly. You cannot set an example that in the subcontinent of Indian subcontinent, you can say that all the minerals are available in this country. No. Whereas gold is available ample amount of there in South Africa, whereas rice and wheat are available in India in the huge amount, right? So unevenly distributed. Clear? And it can be exploited only if they exist in sufficiently large deposit. How you can continuously use any resource when it will be available in large deposit? Clear? Right? So if it is not available in large deposit, you cannot exploit it. Exploit it means to use it continuously, right? Some renewable resources become non-renewable if they are destroyed by bad management and improper practices. Again, it is the matter of duty, right? What is our duty? Being a user of natural resources, we should conserve resources and we should use the resources very carefully, right? But if we use it carelessly, so indirectly we are destroying it, or we are not having any management to conserve it or to use it carefully, then it will be destroyed. It will not be available in future. Example, in the USA, for example, some farmlands have lost their topsoil, higher lands have been eroded, and streams and lakes silted up. So due to continuous and constant use, constant utilization in USA, some farmlands have lost their topsoil, that is the upper layer of land. Many higher lands have been eroded due to, even US is very prone to have some natural calamities also, right? right? Storms are coming frequently in some of USA parts. So this is also the reason that lands have been eroded over there, and streams like streams and lakes, right, ponds are there, they are also silted up, dried up because of their continuous use. So this is the example of bad management. So they are destroying renewable and non-renewable resources if used judiciously. The word judiciously means according to the law, according to the judiciary, according to what government has said, according to what the forest ministry has said, we have to use it. If used judicially, however, renewable resources should be able to sustain development for a long time to come, right? So in order to save and conserve, even renewable resources also should be used by us very carefully, right? The non renewable resources also need to be managed well so that we do not experience a scarcity of such resources in the future. Non renewable resources, if we are not able to handle it and manage it well, then surely in the near future we'll experience the scarcity, the lacking, that is the unavailability of such resource in the nearer future. So it is hardly suggested that we should use renewable resources, even non-renewable and non-renewable resources, very carefully. The next topic is human made resources.